10x your service design offering with Smaply. Take 20% off any order with This Is HCD 20 off. Let's superpower you and your design team's potential. Sign up at smaply.app. Enjoy the episode from your friends at Smaply, helping support This Is HCD podcast.
Welcome back to Liminal Breaks, your space to step out of the storm and into the stillness. This is the podcast that invites you to pause, breathe, and reconnect, especially when life feels overwhelming. I'm Mike Parker, the founder of Liminal Coaching, your guide for this journey, and I'm glad you're here. In our first episode, we explored the power of simple relaxation, not as a luxury, but as a foundation. We introduced the drift to peace moment and the idea that productivity, creativity, and sanity all begin when we allow space in our day to deliberately daydream and connect with our subconscious capabilities, allowing it to make the major contribution it can and will, if permitted. Today, we're turning towards something harder. Staying steady in the middle of chaos. This episode is called Riding the Storm. It's about what happens when life doesn't slow down, when you're in the flood, when it feels like you're being shouted at by the world or by your own inner noise. Maybe you're dealing with bad news, conflict, exhaustion, or just the relentless pace of demands that seem to pile up without pause. It is essentially about dealing as best we can with events and forces over which we have no control. We're not here to pretend that that's easy, but there are tools, simple, powerful tools, that can help you stay connected to yourself when the world feels like too much. And today we'll be introducing one of those tools, the Riding the Storm moment. A short guided practice that helps you hold your center without needing everything around you to change. So take a breath. You don't have to brace. You don't have to push through. Relaxing can be more productive than most people imagine. Let's explore how we get pulled into that feeling of chaos in the first place. We all know what it's like to be swept up in a storm, outer or inner. The world seems to be filled with them, the endless news cycles, the stream of crises, conflict, urgency and pressure, not to mention ongoing storms closer to home. They all have one thing in common. They are outside our direct control. These storms aren't imaginary, they're real and they take a real toll. This episode is not about denying that. It's about learning to ride the storm. Riding the storm doesn't mean getting rid of the pressure or pretending you're calm when you're not. It means something different. It means building an inner space that doesn't collapse when things around you spin. It means discovering that even in the midst of a storm, there is a place of calm. Not all storms are the same. Some blow through quickly, others settle in and test every part of us. They shake our confidence, distort our relationships, and sometimes make us feel as though we've lost ourselves. And when that happens, it's easy to look outward for something, anything that might stop the shaking. But in the liminal coaching approach, we begin not by grasping outward, but by softening inwards. We begin by learning to sense the weather within the body. That tightening in the chest, the sense of heart racing, of shallow breath, they aren't failures. They are messages from your nervous system telling you that you've hit the limit of what your current nervous system state can hold. And that's actually good news because it is a signal to take action to change that state. The paradox is that the more we resist the storm, the more we feed it. But if we can stop even briefly and bring attention to our breath, to the feet on the ground, to the subtle inner field of awareness itself, then we've already begun to ride it. we are no longer completely at its mercy. And this is what we'll explore today, not bypassing, not suppressing, but riding the storm with awareness and allowing the body and mind to recenter one breath at a time. There's a moment in every storm when you realize resistance is wasted effort. You're not going to stop the wind by leaning into it harder. That's the essence of the second liminal moment, riding the storm. Not wrestling it, not panicking through it, but shifting just enough to stop being battered by it, and instead watching it. Detachment often gets a bad name. People hear it and think coldness, distance, apathy. But what we're talking about here isn't the absence of care. It's the recovery of perspective. It's the ability to let things be exactly as they are without collapsing into them. And if you've ever had the experience of waking up in the middle of a nightmare and realizing, oh, this isn't real, it's that kind of sensation. Not denying the reality of what's happening in the world, but releasing the death grip on trying to control forces or events which you can't, because that just burns energy and intensifies your distress. What we need is actually stillness. And to get that stillness, you have to detach, even just a little. It's as if your consciousness shifts up a level. Instead of being in the swirling panic of everything, you observe it from a calm point just above it. The storm continues, but you're no longer caught right inside it. And that point of calm, that's what riding the storm moment is built to help you access. There's a part of the mind that always wants to fix, to strategize, to problem solve, and it's useful. But when things are spinning too fast, that part becomes a problem. Your mind tightens, it loops, it can't see clearly because it's in survival mode. And this is where the practice of detachment becomes essential. A kind of gentle turning away from the noise, not out of avoidance, but from a deeper knowing that clarity never arises from turmoil. Think of the way trees bend in the wind. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. And the deeper the root, the more stable the tree. That's what this moment invites, a return to our own sense of rootedness. We'll guide you through that experience shortly. And it's worth saying, detachment doesn't mean denial. It doesn't mean apathy or inaction. What it does mean is that you reclaim your seat. You stop being flung around by emotions, the media, and other people's chaos, and your own internal hurricanes. You observe it, you feel it, but you no longer identify with it. And from that place of calm, then you choose what to do. You're no longer reacting, you're responding from your own centre. So as we move into the moment itself, think of it as stepping back from the noise of the world, not to escape, but to reclaim the still, wise presence within you that has never once been touched by the storm. One of the most powerful tools we use in this moment is metaphor, because sometimes logic and reasoning can't reach the parts of you that are frozen in fear or clenched in overwhelm. So instead we speak in symbols of weather, of waves, of sky and space. These aren't just poetic flourishes, they're cues to the subconscious, helping you uncouple from the intensity of the moment and remember a deeper truth, that you are not the storm, you are the one watching the sky. In our guided audios, metaphors are deliberately designed to support what needs to happen. In this moment, instead of pushing against your feelings, you imagine letting them pass like the weather. You give yourself permission to float, to rise, and see the storm from above. This isn't escapism, it's resourcing. It's giving your nervous system a break from the barrage so it can do what it was designed to do. Re-regulate and reconnect to clarity. So now, let's do this together. You don't need to stop everything or find perfect silence. This isn't about escape. It's about reorienting from the inside out. So whether you're at your desk, taking a walk, or lying down, just pause for a moment and give yourself permission to let go of effort. Let this be a gentle break in the storm. You're not going to fix everything right now. That's not the point. You're just going to give your system a moment to recover from the impact so it can become responsive again instead of reactive. This practice isn't about blocking the world out. It's about creating enough space inside yourself to meet it with steadiness. And as we go into this, notice how your body feels. Don't try to change it. Just notice. Is there tension in your chest, a tightness in your jaw, a buzz in your belly? Whatever it is, don't fight it. You're just becoming aware, like a sky becoming aware of the weather passing through. And now we'll begin the moment itself. Let it wash over you. You don't need to do anything but listen. Let's ride the storm. It isn't a meditation or a tool. It's a moment. A short symbolic portal to a part of you that's already there, just beneath the surface. Begin by relaxing every single muscle as much as you can. Take a deep, relaxed, easy breath in, breathing from your stomach. Slowly exhale and let all tension, stress, and anxiety just drift away from you completely. There's nothing to do. Just follow the drift. You find yourself walking through a wood of peace and quiet reflection. The evening light plays on the leaves, the sun low in the sky. Night is not far off, but you feel completely safe and at ease here. With each breath, let your body settle a little more, your weight supported by the earth beneath you. Soon you come to a beautiful small lake in the woodland. The stars have come out, and the waning crescent moon is reflected in the surface of the lake. You sit down on a rock underneath the spreading boughs of a mature tree and gaze quietly at the stars and moon in the lake. The silver light is beautiful, and it's easy to fall into a gentle reverie. Then from above, you hear a soft movement. Looking up, you see two yellow eyes. An owl is watching you from a branch. "Don't worry," says the owl. "I'm harmless and a help to humans." The owl's voice is calm. "I fly above the land and the trees, over the moon and the sea. I see storms and calm, disaster and peace. But I find the still center in myself as I fly above it all." You listen, noticing how with each breath you can imagine yourself rising lighter, higher, until you're flying with the owl high above the woodland, above the storms and the worries below. Here, flying high above, you can see how everything fits together. The storms may rage, but they cannot reach you here. You may notice how from this height, what once felt overwhelming is now just a part of a larger pattern. Let yourself now rest in this place of stillness for a few moments, feeling the peace and clarity that comes from seeing the bigger picture. And now, as you return, the owl reminds you. When you feel stuck, when everything feels too much, breathe and imagine flying high above it all, floating on the wind. When it's time, you'll know when to return and act. Imagine yourself now, sitting upright with your feet grounded, resting your hands lightly on your knees or thighs, palms down, your fingers spread outwards like wings. Breathe in, seeing yourself rise. Breathe out, seeing yourself steady in the sky above the weather. And as you imagine this, the action becomes a key to this state. So when you take this action in the future, it will bring you back here. Now, when you're ready, gently begin to return, bringing with you all the peace and insight of this place. Make your way back through the woodland in the starlight, feeling a great sense of peace and calm. Let your awareness return gently to your breath, your body, the space around you. Drifting back from the wood now, taking all the time you need, just drifting peacefully and easily back to ordinary waking, feeling grounded, spacious, and quietly energized. And as we come out of the relaxation, just take a moment to sit quietly. Let your breath settle. You don't need to move straight away. Sometimes the mind needs a few extra minutes to stitch the edges of the experience together. This isn't about fixing anything. It's about allowing space. Space for your nervous system to reset. Space for your mind to let go of the continual alerts that keep it spinning. Space for emotions that were just too loud to finally fall quiet, or at least quieter. One of the curious things about stormy states is that they often hide their origins. We're caught in agitation or panic, and we lose the thread of how we got there. But when we practice detachment, when we learn to pause and see the storm rather than be the storm, we begin to see where we pick it up, how it feeds, and most importantly, how we can begin to set it down. The metaphor of riding the storm is deliberate. We're not denying that intense emotion or stress is real. We're choosing to ride it differently, to stay stable through deliberately inducing detachment, and to know that storms do pass. This is why it's helpful to name the subtle shifts you experience. Maybe you felt your body loosen. Maybe you caught a glimpse of yourself outside the grip of the storm. These small recognitions create a thread you can return to in daily life, not just in crisis, but in the microstorms that often go unnoticed. And if this practice felt useful, consider when you might return to it. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed. Use it preemptively. When you start to feel the weather changing inside, that's where you build capacity. And one last thing. If there's someone in your life who could use a little detachment from their own storm, maybe share this episode with them, not as a fix, but as an offering of quiet. We don't all get taught how to hold ourselves through chaos, but we can learn. Take a breath. You've already begun. In the next and final episode, we'll be taking the night voyage, an opportunity to let go of the past and focus on the future that you would like to see. Until then, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.